What if I told you there's a man who walked into the UFC, finished 3 opponents in 66 days, took 0 damage, and casually chatted with the UFC president while choking someone unconscious? What if I told you this same fighter missed weight by a shocking 7.5 pounds, turned the event into chaos, then demolished his replacement opponent like it was nothing? What if that same man out-grappled a pound-for-pound legend, shut down a former middleweight champion, and now stands just 1 fight away from UFC gold? His name is Khamzat Borz Chimaev. He doesn't just win, he dominates, humiliates, and leaves jaws on the floor. Today, we're looking at 5 moments when Chimaev absolutely shocked the MMA world. If you love combat sports and high-level chaos, hit that like button and subscribe to Kill Switch Combat, because this video will take you through every insane twist in Khamzat's meteoric rise. Our story begins in September 2020. At this point, Khamzat Chimaev is already turning heads. He made his UFC debut just 2 months earlier, dominating John Phillips, then taking a second fight 10 days later and smashing Reese McKee. But critics still weren't convinced. Let's see how he does against a real middleweight, they said. So the UFC gave him Gerald Meerschaert, a true veteran with over 40 professional fights, the all-time leader in submission wins at middleweight, and someone known for being incredibly durable. What happened was shocking. As soon as the fight started, Chimaev came forward. No feints, no wrestling. He simply threw a thunderous right hand, and it landed flush on Meerschaert's chin. The veteran dropped like a sack of bricks. Out cold, no follow-up needed. The referee rushed in. The fight was over in just 17 seconds. 1 punch. That's all it took. Everyone expected Chimaev to shoot for a takedown, but instead, he showed the world that he had nuclear power in his hands too. This wasn't just a wrestler. This was a finisher with terrifying precision. Commentators were stunned. Fans couldn't believe it. Chimaev didn't even celebrate much. He just walked off like it was business as usual. That was the moment people started whispering, "Is this guy for real?" Just when the hype was reaching new heights, Chimaev vanished. In late 2020 and early 2021, he was scheduled to fight multiple times, but something was wrong. Reports emerged that Chimaev had caught COVID-19, and not just any case. His symptoms were severe. He was coughing up blood. He was hospitalized. He even announced a brief retirement due to the damage the virus had done to his lungs. But Khamzat isn't built like most people. After a long layoff and recovery period, he returned over a year later at UFC 267 in Abu Dhabi. His opponent, Lee the Leech Jingliang, ranked number 11 in the world, known for knockout power and excellent cardio. But Lee didn't get to show any of that. The fight started, and within seconds, Chimaev shot for a takedown, lifted Lee into the air, and carried him across the cage while yelling at Dana White in the middle of the fight. "Talk to me! Talk to me!" he shouted. Then he slammed Lee to the mat, established control, and sank in a rear naked choke. Lee tried to fight, but it was too tight. He was out. Not only did Lee never land a punch, he was helpless from start to finish. This was domination on a different level. After a life-threatening illness, Chimaev came back looking stronger, sharper, and even more savage. It wasn't just a comeback, it was a message. By 2022, Khamzat Chimaev was scheduled to fight Nate Diaz in the main event of UFC 279. This was Diaz's last fight on his UFC contract, and many believed the UFC was feeding him to the wolf on his way out. But once again, the story took a wild turn. At the weigh-ins, Chimaev missed weight by 7.5 pounds. It wasn't even close. This wasn't a slip. It was a full collapse of discipline, or something far more tactical. To make matters worse, there was a backstage brawl between Chimaev's camp and Nate Diaz's crew. Dana White had to cancel the pre-fight press conference altogether. With the main event scrapped, the UFC restructured the entire card. Diaz would fight Tony Ferguson, and Chimaev would face Kevin Holland in a 180-pound catchweight bout. And just like that, on less than 24 hours' notice, the most chaotic UFC event in years unfolded. Chimaev didn't seem rattled at all. As soon as the fight with Holland began, he blitzed forward with a takedown, instantly took control, and wrapped up a darky choke. The fight ended in just 2 minutes and 13 seconds. Chimaev walked out of the cage smiling, booed by fans, but undefeated and untouched. He didn't care about the chaos. He didn't care about the hate. He just wanted violence, and he delivered. After the chaos of UFC 279, many questioned Chimaev's discipline. Could he make weight? Was he mentally locked in? His next fight would answer all of that. Originally set to fight Paulo Costa at UFC 294, Chimaev once again faced a late switch. Costa pulled out due to an infection, and stepping in on 11 days' notice was none other than Kamaru Usman, former welterweight king and pound-for-pound #1. But this wasn't 170 pounds. It was middleweight. The stakes were high. The pressure was immense, and Chimaev delivered again. In round 1, he took Usman down and threatened a submission. In round 2, he controlled the grappling exchanges. Usman, despite being one of the best wrestlers in MMA history, couldn't stop Chimaev's pressure. Round 3 was competitive, but the damage had already been done. Chimaev walked away with a majority decision win. And then came the big one, the fight that silenced even the harshest critics. In June 2025, Chimaev faced Robert Whittaker in Saudi Arabia, the former middleweight champion, the man who had fought Israel Adesanya twice, the man who had dismantled nearly every top contender the division had seen. This was the ultimate test, and Chimaev dominated. He controlled the first round with relentless pressure and takedowns. In round 2, he stunned Whittaker with strikes and smothered him on the ground. By round 3, Whittaker looked drained and frustrated. Chimaev even scored a knockdown. It was a comprehensive performance against a top-tier striker and defensive wrestler. The scorecards were clear. Chimaev won decisively. After the fight, Whittaker admitted, "If I can't beat this guy, nobody can." This wasn't hype. This wasn't marketing. Chimaev had just taken out one of the most well-rounded fighters in UFC history and made it look routine. Now, Chimaev's journey brings him to UFC 319, where he'll face South Africa's own Dricus du Plessis for the undisputed UFC middleweight championship. Du Plessis is unorthodox, powerful, and unpredictable. He dethroned Adesanya in shocking fashion and has defended his belt with grit and heart. But Chimaev is something different. He's not just fighting for a belt. He's fighting to fulfill a prophecy. From Chechnya to Sweden to Abu Dhabi, his story has been one of destruction, dominance, and destiny. On August 16th, the wolf hunts for gold. Will he finally claim the crown? Or will du Plessis do what no man has done and hand Chimaev his first loss? We'll find out soon enough. There you have it, 5 unforgettable moments that cemented Khamzat Chimaev as one of the scariest fighters we've ever seen. Let us know in the comments. Do you think Chimaev becomes champ at UFC 319? Or will du Plessis shock the world again? If you enjoyed this breakdown, give us a like, smash that subscribe button, and share this with your fight fan friends. This is Kill Switch Combat, and we'll catch you next time with more fire from the fight game.